Hi, I'm Owen, and we're back with Chris, Ishwa, and Kyle. They're all teaching assistants or instructors with the Department of Computing and Information Technology, which is part of the Faculty of Science and Technology, right guys? The name changed recently, right?
Yeah.
Alright, good man. My friends here have all been mentors with the Teleios Code Jam, so we're here just getting some insight from them as to what the process has been like and what the advice they can offer to those who would like to be mentors or would like to even participate in the competition.
In 2010, both of us, Eshwa and myself, were part of a team that entered Code Jam as well.
Okay.
So, and at that time, it was a department promoted event.
Okay, alright. So you were students in the department at the time and you heard about it, so well, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
And how was it for you?
Oh, it was great because it was one of the first times you actually get to, try out your coding skills and get out there and build that app and get feedback with it and kind of stuff. So
and I think interestingly enough, I think most of the times we spend time doing assignments. We spend time doing these sort of monolithic type applications. But this was an opportunity for us to actually do something that was impactful. That was real.
Alright. And how did it go? How did you fare?
Well, we didn't place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun. That's fun, right? Because when you get your tail whooped, there's a motivation for you to come back with a stronger hand the following year.
Right, and excellent.
And we did well.
Okay, Chris. I remember you didn't just placed, right?
The first one, me and Akash came second, and we lost by 0.75. Just
you lost by 0.75.
Yeah, we came second.
Yeah. Okay. So you all seem to have all enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure.
What value did you see to make you decide to continue? So apart from wanting to do better than last year, is there anything else that was valuable to you with the competition?
But I think each and every one of us realized the potential that this type of activity brings. It gives students the opportunity to actually do something that is real, do something that is important, do something that actually contributes to actual societal problem. And I think the teams that Code Jam has brought forward has really given students the space to actually do that sort of thing. So, we particularly enjoyed the ability to do that. I mean, each of us enjoyed it so much that, we took up the role as mentors, having been part of the experience, having realized, what it is like, having gone through that experience.
Right.
We realized that our experience can in turn, build students and bring them to a better position, to be better programmers, competitive, to think in a particular way, in a particular paradigm to deal with these types of activities.
So you're all teaching classes, right? You're actually handling full classes. So is it that during your classes you kind of talk about the Code Jam alone or the impact of Code Jam? In other words, do you simply say participate in the competition, or are you more of these are issues in society you need to take a look at? How does it go for you in your classes?
Well, how it was actually done with my class is that I spoke to the class and let them know that the Teleios Code Jam competition was coming up. And I presented it as an opportunity for them to do something outside of their academics.
Right.
So that in future, if they go for a job interview or something like that, they could say, this is something I developed. I participated in this competition.
Right.
And it was difficult at first, but I mean...
Why was it difficult?
I think people, we exist in an environment where students have been drilled with this culture of, do work. I mean, I see young students even giving up sometimes of a social life for the sake of good academic performance.
Right.
So the idea of giving up, that time that you would normally spend with your assignments and your work to do something that is extracurricular, it's not always something that's been welcome, especially by the students who perform better.
Okay.
But I think the whole emphasis of doing, that which is impactful is something that we talk about very strongly. We talk about it in our class. Chris at the time was responsible for game programming. We looked at games that deal with, not just for fun, but they deal with some type of problem. I deal with internet technology. We look at solutions that deal with, societal problems and begin to get them to think in that way. And we recognize even so that the class is a constraining environment. So the three of us got together and we said, listen, only so much we could do in class, but as mentors, we extended ourselves to avail ourselves as much as was humanly possible to do the time with them.
So you're mentor together. It's not like you're individually trying to build your own silos. You're kind of shared work.
So the name for the mentor, we literally just sort of put the names in a bag and pick
a name.
Yeah.
because for the competition time, you know, Teleios has a specification that you could only have one mentor per team.
Oh, okay.
But because we had shared the responsibility, because each of us bring a different perspective to the table.
Right.
So each of us share a different perspective to each team. You know, whether it be the design, whether it be the data facilitation, whether it be the application of a societal problem. You know, each of us have our strengths. So our collective strengths to these individual teams help to bring them up.
That sounds pretty excellent. What are some of the difficulties you face then, being a mentoring team, that you would probably caution those now coming into the fold against?
I think the biggest challenge with that is establishing trust. I mean, I think we could all testify that our students exhibit a great level of trust on us, in the sense that we don't take their ideas and carry them to another team. You know, we don't take what we discuss with one team and say, hey, these are the guys doing this, you know, so you could do the same or you could do better. So, and I think that's the most important thing that mentors have to establish if they're going to look at the possibility of doing a shared, collaborative mentorship type things. You know, students are different, and you have to understand the kind of personalities that you're mentoring with. And some people might not like the fact that you helping this team and then you're going to help me. You know, how do I know you don't take my ideas and carry it back?
Okay, so you all have a significant responsibility to maintain the honor.
Yeah.
All right. In terms of transformation, Chris, I mean, you participated. You were a student when you participated, and now you're a TA here and you're providing a lot of guidance to students. What kind of transformations have you seen in the students participating? And you can start with yourself. How did you change as a result of participating, if you did? And how are you seeing students themselves change?
Well, I'll start with me and then I'll go on to the students, because we actually have a little group called Jammers now that sort of springboarded from the last Teleios competition.
Hold on, a group called Jammers?
Yeah,
This is a band or?
No, we jam
We jamming cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's being kind. The Bob Marley's team song, you know.
Okay. That's pretty excellent. It's impressive.
Right, so, you know, we started steamrolling from there, because we did game, and then we did game project where we built our RTS engine together. Then we met up another guy, Ronaldo, and we built TTAF4, which is now Game.
So offers online came about after Code Jam?
Yeah, we just started working on random stuff together.
Okay.
We actually sat down. We have these Mario sessions where we sit down and write stuff on a napkin, and we have a blue folder. We just check it in there, and when we bored and was something to do, we just go to the folder and pick some up.
That's excellent.
So it started with that, and you know, from that we started to get inspired and seeing what we could do, and you know, what writing programs and software is all about, and the potential we have to change the world and impact other minds. So you know, started to think in a bigger way, and then it started when we met Kyle and Ishra, and we actually started with two guys. It was still in Keisha, but the first time we went out, we advertised, you know, ball we liver strings out, and only 2 guys came. 2! Right? And then for the course of the year, we had about 15 of them. Yeah, when we mentored together, and they came for second and third.
Yeah, and I think that's an important outcome of this whole process. I mean, what we have begun to see, a change in the culture, or even to some extent the way that some of our undergraduate students are thinking. You know, they no longer see new technology as something difficult to learn. It's like, you know, just give me a night and I could do it. You know, a problem comes up and it's like, hey, you know, let's just get together, let's just spend a night and just code it out. You know, and all of these things, the genesis has been, you know, the experience that came out of Code Jam.
Right.
And that group of those, they really sort of meshed with Code Jam, because we had mentoring all of them together. So we just had them lined up, you know, on a Wednesday. We had a schedule, and they used to come one after the other. They used to meet every 2 hours for the week. But that's where they sort of started to interact with each other more, and sometimes they'd share ideas. And over the past year, they grew as a group and a community, and hence the Jammers came out of that, and they entered several competitions, the I2I.
I'm glad you're saying this. That really, I'm curious as to that. Do you all actually enter the competitions?
Yeah.
And we actually do pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned I2I.
Right, I2I.
Open data this year?
We did open data.
They came third in that, right? Yeah. I think they came fourth in Kanto, yeah. We went to the Margin Cup several times. We came second in the local leg one time.
But we didn't place anything this
time. Actually, and a nice interesting one. We came together and we saw the impact that we could have on, you know, we could change our generation, change our mindset, and we came together and we started our own little kind of competition called Runtime.
Right.
Okay.
Within the
I see
department.
Runtime 2012.
Yeah, talking about right there.
And I think the most important thing about runtime was these very same students that we took the time to mentor would then the genesis of this idea. They're the ones who took it and they run with it. So they were motivated from the third component of the competition from Code Jam, because they didn't feel as if they performed as well as they could have.
Just to provide clarity, this part of Code Jam is where you have a challenge, and at the end of the day you have an hour to solve an algorithmic type question.
That's right.
Yes?
That's right. So they took it upon themselves. They spoke with Dr. Kali Tran and he provided them with some difficult questions, and they did the preparation and everything for that. And this was an event, a programming-based event that was delivered for students by students.
Excellent, excellent. So I have a question for you then. Is Teleios Code Jam different? And if so, how? Because you've now participated in a bunch of competitions. Do you see differences in Teleios Code Jam? And if so, what are those differences?
Well, I think one of the main things that I like about Teleios and how it's unique in a sense is the emphasis it puts on giving the students the ability to shine. In the sense of it's trying to get the students from point A to point B, and that point really is how do you use software to change the world and benefit the world. So the other competitions have that theme generally there, but it's open to any developer, any team. But why I like Code Jam specifically is because it takes students, it's specifically for students, and tries to mold them and get them to see the bigger picture, about what you can do and really what as a responsibility as developers.
Okay. Eshwa, you're also lecturing, right?
Yes, I am.
Your students probably complain often that they have no time for this.
Yes, they do actually.
How do they handle it?
Right, well, initially that was one of the difficulties, getting them to commit to the project. And as I said, maybe we started off with about 40 or 50 persons saying yes, and at the end we end up with 15, as Chris said. But the thing is, after participating, now they don't complain anymore. Now they rather, they would make time and they actually find time to manage these extra activities with their schoolwork, and all that comes because of their good experience with the Teleios Code Jam competition.
I mean, and we actually had one or two students who had identified that they actually found that they performed better in school because of taking part in some of these competitions.
Well, that's excellent.
So I mean, there is value beyond just simply, okay, I participated, this looks good on my resume. It motivates them to achieve higher. It motivates them to push the boundaries of what they thought was previously possible from their own skill sets.
I have a couple more questions, and this one it always bothers me. Code Jam is not meant simply to be for engineers or for computer scientists. The point of Code Jam is to allow students to realize that they can come up with real-world solutions. What we've seen is that students kind of tend to stick within their faculties. Do you all have any plans to address the need for interfaculty participation in Code Jam?
And I think the point that you're making is a really strong point. And I think because we're primarily dealing with university students, and the majority of the universities in the Caribbean tend to be very isolated. Right. There's not much cross-faculty type collaboration. So that in turns, there's nothing for the students to really look at and say, hey, we can do this as well.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is to encourage them to say, listen, we have these types of activities coming up. We have these types of things that we need to think about. Why don't you invite some of your friends in management? Why don't you invite, some of your friends in agriculture and different faculties and bring them into the mix, and let's just have a brainstorming session. So we have some of those types of activities this year, and we're hoping to see some outcomes of that for the next Code Jam.
That's excellent to hear, and so we're looking forward to that stuff. Before we wrap up, any last words, any thoughts you want to share? Let's start with Chris.
Code Jam is cool and you should do it.
Alright.
No, I really like that the Code Jam has been expanded from previous years to the 3 phases, where the first phase places emphasis on code, and then the presentation aspects as well as the actual Code Jam session. I think it really does align with allowing people from different faculties to come together and participate in the competition.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, and I think especially if we speak to mentors, I think what they should realize is that they are given the responsibility or the privilege, more or less, to actually begin to affect the mind of the future developers.
Right.
And I think this is what Code Jam is about. It's about how do you begin to mold this new set of generation to take up the challenges that exist in our societies and use technology to solve them. Right. And as a mentor, look at yourself as the person who facilitates that to the students. Let them be the ones don't feed the ideas to them. All you're just a facilitator for them to generate their own ideas, and you just guide them in the right direction.
Guys, your passion is leaping out onto the table and all over the world. Thanks so much for being here. We're looking forward to more of these kinds of interactions. Good stuff, good job. Thank you very much.